HOTTOGO. It's too hot for me to go. Happy Pride Month. Silver here. I'm coming at you from inside a very, very hot RV. So our RV is still parked. We've still got the cover on it. And even though this RV has been in partial shade for most of the day, and it's only mid-June, the interior of this RV has gotten to 126 degrees Fahrenheit. Granted, we haven't had airflow in it, everything's been closed up, but also, that is ridiculous. If you are traveling in an RV in the summer, you need to be prepared for the heat, because heat will kill you. Everybody gets really concerned about RVing in the winter and dealing with cold weather because RVs aren't meant for cold weather, but here's the thing, heat is just as dangerous as cold, if not more dangerous. I'd like to share with you some of the modifications that we've made to our RV that make traveling in these extreme temperatures a little bit more comfortable. Let's get to. Alrighty, the very first thing that anyone should do when they're trying to prep their RV or motorhome for extreme weather is get window coverings on. Most of your main windows are going to come with some sort of blind or treatment. Your door window will likely not come with any sort of blind or cover or dressing. So the very first thing that I'd recommend anyone do is get some Reflectix and slap it as flush against this door window as you can. Now, you will get moisture in between the Reflectix and the window, so make sure it's not completely sealed at the bottom or you'll have some pooling. And keep an eye on the door itself because you're going to get water running down it. Wipe that up every now and then. Everyone's going to tell you to run a dehumidifier in your RV or van. Do it. If you have the room and the power capacity to run a full-size dehumidifier, do that. So when we were out west this winter, we actually got enough condensation between the window and this Reflectix that it dripped down the door and froze in a panel on the bottom of the door. So this door has no insulation. This window has even less insulation. At the very, very least, put something up that's going to bounce the sun rays off that window so they're not blazing in and magnifying in your RV. On the note of Reflectix, initially for our hatches, we applied some Velcro around the hatch box and we put up a layer of Reflectix via Velcro. That kept the sunlight out and it bounced off the rays, so we did save some heat there. But it got hot enough inside this RV while we were staying in it that the Velcro sort of just gomped off and the Reflectix wasn't holding up anymore. So we purchased these hatch covers. They're basically square pillows. One side is Reflectix and the other side is this white sort of grippy material. These fit perfectly in a standard size hatch, and you can either place the Reflectix up to keep the RV cool or the Reflectix down to keep the RV warmer. We also noticed that when we had these installed while driving, it reduced wind and road noise just a little bit. It both kept the fan part from rattling around as much, and it blocked the wind noise that came through the thin fan cover. A couple of things to show you here in the bedroom area. So first of all, our back two windows, instead of having Reflectix on these two, I installed Blackout accordion blinds. So these are different from the pre-installed blinds in a couple of ways. One, they're a much thicker material. Two, I cut them exactly to size. I cut them to go all the way to the edge of the valance, so instead of having a big gap of open air there, they cover past the window, overlapping the wall, and then the valance wraps around them. Three, the pre-installed blinds had holes where the guide wires ran through them. These are one solid piece and you don't get any light or heat seeping through. So potentially a future project might be to install Reflectix under those, but for now I'm really happy with how these perform in keeping the bedroom cooler. And on that note, if you're RVing in the heat, as soon as that sun starts blazing, close down everything. Close all of your blinds. It'll be dark. So that's one of the reasons I have these RGB lights, because when we close down all of our windows, if we only use the pre-installed can lighting, it's a really artificial kind of sanitary lighting situation. With the RGB, right now I have them set to cycle through all the different colors, but you can set them to any color you want. Usually we'll start the day with a dark blue. As we come up through the day, I'll set them to yellow or white, and then at night I'll set them to a nice green to sort of settle down and have everything nice, calm, and peaceful. I also will set them to pink and purple, especially if we're playing video games, because it reminds me of my home video game setup, and that's just those are the video game colors. Another thing that I would like to show you is underneath our mattress, we have a material called DenDry. Now, there are several non-branded, somewhat comparable materials out there that I've seen other people use, but DenDry is the only one that I've seen marketed for both boats and RVs for this specific purpose. And I think it's been doing its job wonderfully. So underneath our mattress, we have this layer of basically felt with little plastic pyramids underneath it. The fabric sits on a base layer of breathable felt, and then underneath that felt are little downward pointing pyramids that are made out of sort of interlocking composite plasticky material. Both the felt and the little pyramids have airflow through them, and there's also airflow between the divots in the pyramids that are holding the mattress up off the base. One of the most major concerns in any weather with your mattress is a buildup of moisture and humidity that builds mold underneath the mattress, and that is a very bad thing. That means that you need to get a new mattress and you need to do some sort of mold remediation on your mattress base, whether that is a deep mold killing clean or replacing the base entirely. Nobody has time for that, especially not when it's this hot outside. So regardless of if you're dealing with humidity from outside or you're dealing with humidity because you're traveling in the cold and you have heat and body heat and breathing and warmth building up inside your RV, you need to have some sort of protection from moisture building up under your mattress. Not sponsored at all, but we're very happy with our DenDry product. We have traveled through negative temperatures in it. We have traveled through a heat index of 126 in it, and we have had zero problems with any sort of mold or moisture buildup under our mattress. The second thing I want to discuss in this area, and I'm not able to show you because it's all under screwed in panels. Last year, before we headed west in the winter, I took off the mattress and I unscrewed the panels that the mattress sets on. Our mattress area is on top of the garage, which is accessed through the cargo hatch on the outside of our RV. And that garage is not well insulated. So I opened up the bed area from the inside and I placed insulative foam on every surface that I could get to where it would fit. So I probably ended up using a full 4x8 panel of foam under the mattress and down in the closed off portion around the cargo bay. I can't tell you specifically how much that helped, but I feel like it's definitely made our bedroom area a little bit more comfortable in both the heat and the cold. Another modification that I made to our motorhome to make it more comfortable in both hot and cold extreme weather is I added airflow to our cabinets. When we took the RV down to Louisiana in August, which was a terrible idea, we had a heat index of 126. The humidity was through the roof. You went outside and you were immediately just soaked. So the inside of our cabinets were dripping with moisture from the humidity in the air. So I added airflow vents to every cabinet I could. This was a really simple project. It did take some time and finagling. I ordered 2-inch circumference vents off of Amazon and I painted them to look pretty. And I used a 2-inch bulldozer bit to knock out the hole for the vent. What I ran into here is the interior of the vent measured 2 inches, but the exterior of my bulldozer bit measured 2 inches. So I did have to take a Dremel and clean out the outside of the hole to get these to fit, which was a bit of a pain, but I also could have ordered different hardware and returned these if I didn't have a Dremel or specific tools to help me deal with that. So what these do is they increase airflow throughout the entire RV, and they also protect whatever's in this cabinet from experiencing a higher moisture level than the rest of the RV as a whole. So especially for cabinets that are holding food, dry goods like rice or flour, things that are going to go bad much quicker if they experience high moisture, this is a really great modification to make to your rig. Another thing to think about if you're RVing in extreme heat is your refrigerator. So there's lots of really good information out there on the internet already about how to use your RV refrigerator correctly. And honestly, that topic could be its own video. But the quick rundown is: 1, pre-cool your items. If at all possible, do not put anything in your fridge or freezer that is lower than the ambient temperature you're trying to hold in your fridge or freezer. 2, consider investing in a refrigerator fan. They are inexpensive, allegedly easy to hook up, and don't take much space, and they're going to help the air circulate in your refrigerator so it doesn't have to work quite as hard to hold temp. Regardless of if you have a fan or not, make sure that you don't have your refrigerator jam full of stuff. Make sure that you have your items away from the walls and separated instead of all clumped together, so that the air can circulate each product, and that's going to protect the interior of each product from losing temp as fast. Another hack to consider, especially if you don't usually carry much in your freezer, is to bring along several ice packs and rotate them from the freezer to the fridge each day. So usually your freezer is going to have a much wider range of temperature it can fluctuate between before that food becomes unsafe, but your refrigerator is going to have much smaller of a window. So if you can utilize the hard work of your freezer to keep your refrigerator from having to work as hard, you're going to have a little bit more buffer to be able to place warmer things in that refrigerator and have the temperature in the refrigerator keep up. Now, on the refrigerator note, especially if you're a person that travels with food items in your refrigerator and the refrigerator is turned off to travel, I cannot recommend enough having some sort of temperature monitoring system in your refrigerator. I got this small system off of Amazon. It has a clip that goes in our freezer, it has a clip that goes in the refrigerator, and this also has a temperature system. So on this one small device, I can tell what the min, max, and current temperature of both my freezer and fridge are, and I can monitor the interior of the RV. This serves a little bit of dual purpose. If we leave it in the RV while we take the dogs somewhere, we can monitor what the max temperature was while we were gone. So we can make better decisions as to whether or not it's safe to leave the dogs in the RV for a certain amount of time or during a particular part of the day. As someone whose employment started in food service, I cannot recommend enough how seriously you need to take food safety. Even if you don't consume meat or dairy or animal products like we do, you can still get incredibly ill from eating foods that have been left out of temp for too long. And even though sometimes it hurts to throw food away because it's been out of temp too long, it's better than risking being incredibly ill in an RV with one small bathroom that is attached to the rest of your living quarters, especially if you're traveling with a partner or a family. So this is a very small investment, and it has a lot of safety features that make us a little bit more healthy on the road. Speaking of safety traveling in extreme temperatures, even if you only ever plan to use shore power, if you have any other alternative power source like a generator or solar panels, you need to systems test before you head out. We have utilized our generator less than a handful of times, but we make sure to run it at least once a month so that we know when we need to use it, it's going to be ready. The same thing with solar panels. There's a lot that can go wrong even if your RV is just parked. So whatever backup systems you have, do a full systems check before you head out so that you know if things go a little bit sideways, you can at least have enough power to stay safe. As a part of that systems check, you also need to make sure that every piece of equipment that is going to keep you safe and alive is running properly. That includes your air conditioner when it's this hot, any sort of fans or airflow systems that you have, or your backup gas heater when it's cold. These systems can fail. And while sometimes you have no warning and they fail in the middle of the field, if you run them regularly, if you maintain them, if you keep all the components clean, you're going to be much safer as you go out into extreme temperatures. Alrighty, this one is a little bit janky of a solution, but if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid. So our rig is solar ready, which means that they created it for you to add a solar system aftermarket. One of the ways they prepared the rig is they built a battery harness underneath the stairs of the RV door. I don't know how bad normal RV stairs are, but I can say that ours have no insulation and almost have spots that they're just open to fresh air. So in the winter, our door area is very cold, and in the summer, we get a lot of heat up through the stairs. This is insulative foam board, and I very generously applied layers of duct tape to create a fold-out panel that sets in that floor area and gives a little bit more protection against the outside weather. So the final modification I have to show you in our RV that helps us maintain a comfortable temperature is an insulative divider between the cab and the RV itself. Now, I know this looks a little bit rough right now, but it still does its job. So this is a duvet insert that I got from the thrift store for $1, and on top of it I sewed these curtain panels because I wanted it to be green and match the theme of my RV. Now, clearly the way that I've sewed these panels is not optimal for aesthetic, but these don't really add to the function of the divider. The main thing here is to create a divider between your cab, where the flooring has very little insulation, the doors are metal, and you have all sorts of windows is to keep the heat or the cold up there and to keep the conditioned air and temperature back here. You could also use any sort of heavy blanket or quilt or even a foam divider if that's what works best for you. Some other things to consider are when you park your RV, look for shade. Now with a lot of parks, you get what you get and it is what it is. If you have the ability to pick your own site, look for something with shade cover at least part of the day. Especially if you can park so that the shade's going to hit your RV at the hottest point of the day. If you're boondocking, consider which way you face your vehicle. Make sure that the side that's accommodating the sun is not your front where all of the windshields are. If you have the option, put your refrigerator away from the sun. And if you have the time and flexibility, you can maneuver your vehicle throughout the day to hide your more susceptible sides, like sides with big windows, from the direct sun. You can also use your awnings to provide your own shade. Now, again, this is weather dependent. You're not going to want to use your awning if it's very windy or there's a chance of storms. But if you can put your awning out and shade at least part of your RV wall, you're going to see a difference. And the final thing, especially if you're boondocking or you're full-time and you're flexible with where you can go, chase elevation. It truly makes a difference. If you can get up in elevation, you're going to see quite a bit cooler temperatures and usually have a better breeze and a little bit less humidity. And honestly, when we were considering RVing through the winter in a not Four Seasons rig, all of the advice, especially from the old timers, were your winter plan is your RV has wheels, drive it somewhere warmer. And as much as I made fun of that thought process and said, I can brave the winter, it's not a big deal, now that it's 90 degrees in my RV, the RV has a parking spot. So don't be afraid to just park your RV when it gets too hot, especially if it's a matter of safety and comfort. Spend more months RVing in the spring and the fall, or even brave the winter if you're in a climate where it's going to be dangerous to be out in heat. So I really hope that going over what we've done to protect ourselves from extreme temperatures is going to be helpful for you, helping you to make decisions as to whether or not you're ready to go out in a certain season or whether you want to at all. Regardless of if you're chasing cooler temperatures, or you're braving the heat in the south, or you've decided to park your vehicle for the summer and enjoy air conditioning in a home base, I hope that you continue chasing adventures, and I'll see you on the next one.